if LA and California can get its act together along the lines you've described, they will be pushing on an open door. The great thing about this president-elect is that he probably would not have won if it hadn't been for this thing. He used new media platforms in ways that no other politician had ever. How many of us, this is a rhetorical question, how many of us have gotten these damned messages from Michelle, from Barack?
I thought I was the only one who got the Michelle message.
On and on, from you, I mean, from on and on and on. And so what was very interesting working in the transition was that you talk to these guys and they intuitively get it. They get the idea that we've got to reach out, we've got to have distributed technology, that if you either innovate or you die, or you innovate or you lose, because if Barack Obama didn't innovate, he would have lost. And so the people in his immediate team, people like Julius Jankowski, who is probably going to move into a very senior position, either at the White House or one of the federal agencies, gets it. Barack gets it. His advisors get it. And what they get is in putting together the stimulus package, for example, they said, we don't want to just do bridges. We don't want to just do highways. We have got to do broadband. We have got to do biotechnology. We have got to do social media. We've got to do peer-to-peer learning and education. So that's happening in Washington. As a relatively new immigrant, I've only been in town for about a year. What I find striking about this town is exactly the point that was made earlier, is that in cities where innovation is sustainable, government agencies, private sector organizations, universities and think tanks, and nonprofits work together in a consistent, robust fashion. That's true for Silicon Valley. It's true for Route 128 around Boston. It's increasingly true for the Dulles corridor, where biotechnology is very strong. What seems to be, how shall I say this politely, a challenge to LA is whether or not in a time when Washington is ready for the message, whether or not Los Angeles will be able to create conversations between government agencies, the private sector, universities, and nonprofits to articulate what we already do so well, to make the city grow, to make the state grow, but then to have an impact back in Washington, because those folks there are waiting to hear the message of innovation and infrastructure that California is uniquely placed to make. So I think one of the very interesting stories, to make a great treatment maybe for a movie or something, is over the next 4 years, will LA be able to have more of these kinds of sessions to pull itself out of the economic crisis, but also to demonstrate to the right-hand coast that these kinds of cooperative relationships that are in a sense represented by this panel and this room, whether that really is a model for America. And I think that's the challenge.